Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Have you ever looked at a photo and saw a little something extra in that photo? Do you know anything about photographing spirits or spirits showing up in photos? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I am your host, Nancy Smith. Joining me in this episode is Reverend Julie Gray. She's a medium, an artist, and she's going to talk about her process for taking photos of her sitter's spirit. She uses a unique, what she calls triangulations of science, energy to reveal her subject's spirit. Energy is always in motion, and it transfers and translates easily into a photographic modality. And spirit and energy show up in her photos all the time. A little bit about her spirit photographs. These portraits are inspired by early spirit photography, photographs of ectoplasm and working physical mediums, as well as modern day aura photography. We'll talk a little bit about that. And through the combinations of science, the energy of the photographer and the medium, and the energies of the practicing mediumship, these portraits can only exist through a collaboration of these energies, and they are one of a kind. So we're going to show you some samples in a little bit. So Reverend Julie Gray is a Southern Maine-based medium. She's a visual artist. She's a wedding photographer. She is ordained through the City of Light Spiritualist Church in Lilydale, New York, and she studied mediumship since having a near-death incident in 2009. I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. She works as a clairvoyant and active member of her artistic community, and she oftentimes incorporates aura drawings, smoke drawings, and intuitive charcoal drawings into her mediumship work. Embracing the connections between the artistic and the medium. She's in my wheelhouse, Julie. We met just not that long ago. Welcome to the show, the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm happy to be here and talk art-related mediumship. And yeah, totally. We're in each other's wheelhouse. I love it.
Yeah. So we met at up in Maine in Temple Heights Camp. When I was reading, I was the medium the week before you, and I had never met you. And I was getting so excited reading your bio and what you were going to do, and you were going to come and teach. And Temple Heights is up in Northport, Maine, and you have a medium for a week and you get to teach. So anyway, it was so good to meet you. Tell me a little bit about your background, that near-death experience, just kind of changed your world, and then you jumped into mediumship.
Yeah. So it was 2009, and it was a very undramatic situation. I fell down some stairs and received a really, really severe concussion from it. And, I did have the tunnel experience, kind of all of that, but it wasn't the usual tunnel experience that you hear about, because at the time I was an atheist. And with just like a 5% little bit of agnosticism in there, just in case.
Just I did your bets there. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I definitely leaned into that 5% as I was having this experience. Looking back on it, I really do think that we all kind of have a near-death or a death experience that befits what we believe would happen in our life. So we're kind of already programming ourselves of what to expect during our life. And as an atheist, it was just a lot of darkness. I had the tunnel sensation. So I felt I could hear my family members, my parents and my brother were there at the time. And I could hear their voices getting softer and softer and softer and softer.
Oh boy.
And narrating the situation, saying like, she's turning blue, she's not breathing still. yeah, all of those things. And I still had a very rational mind at the time. And I was just like, oh my God, really? This is it? This is how it happens.
Well, yeah.
And there was a sense of acceptance along with it. And I didn't feel scared necessarily, just disappointed, and I wanted more. So I basically started praying, and I was like, I don't even know the Lord's Prayer, but I'm just gonna put a blanket prayer out there. Please,
Yeah.
God, if you do exist,
Yeah.
bring me back. And within the year, I found spiritualism, and just kind of really felt that it was in tune with my belief system, or what beliefs I did have. And as we know, spiritualism is a lot about personal responsibility and the golden rule. I mean, every religion should be based on the golden rule. And yeah, so a lot of my personal principles aligned with the principles of spiritualism, and found spiritualism and went full in. All in.
Yeah, all the way. Lilydale is your second home. You were telling me over in Maine. It's like, wow, girl. So that's very, very cool. And you studied art. Your background is photography. It is art. So coming in and combining the art with the mediumships is probably a no-brainer. So to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I did get my bachelor's in photography from Rhode Island School of Design way back in 2005. And yeah, I've been a working photographer. I've had an art gallery. I've worked at a photography gallery in New York City, and which also did a lot of appraisals of fine art and documentary photography. So I really got to like have my hands on these like beautiful historic pieces, works of art. And so I've always loved photography. And to make money, I ended up doing weddings for friends. It kind of starts off that way. And I still love it. But now it's great that I get to incorporate the art and different modalities of art into, spiritualism and mediumship.
Beautiful. So I'm going to tell you a secret here. I went to RISD too. I didn't even know that you went to RISD.
Love it.
I'm not going to tell you when I graduated. It was a lot earlier than you. No, but it just spirit plucked your amazing artists right out of the world. Say you're going to be spiritualists. It plucked two. Well, I'm okay artist, but
For spirits.
so that's wonderful. Now, we talked a little bit about how the portraits, we're going to show them in a minute, but I'm really curious about, you said your inspiration kind of comes from the early spirit photography. You've got photos of ectoplasm. We have Mumler, with spirit kind of impressing and behind the I guess you'd call it the sitter. So what is your experience? What did your studies reveal for you, and how did it influence you?
So even though I am a medium, I am still, I would say, a healthy skeptic about a lot of the world of mediumship. So looking at the photographs with specifically a photography background, I do see the mechanics of how a lot of these original spirit photographs were made by Mumler specifically. And in fact, just for people that are interested, this book is incredible. It's about Mumler and kind of like the wave of spirit photography kind of coming through America during the Victorian era.
Let's
And
see. I'm going to put that post-it. It's
yeah, sure. It's apparitions.
PARITION, apparitionist. But who is it by?
It is by Peter Manseau, Manseau.
Beautiful. Yeah. So
Yeah.
keep going.
It's a great read, and it really talks about like the fraudulent aspects of it, and how, people would look at these, images that were supposedly made by using double negatives, triple negatives, other forms of trickery as well in
Mm.
creating these images. And sometimes people would recognize the spirits in the photograph as being someone they actually know as being alive.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know,
All right. That doesn't fly as
no, it doesn't bode well for the,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, some of them are, the craftsmanship is really fantastically done. And so some of them, even myself, who is like a healthy skeptic, I am like, oh, but that's intriguing. So I definitely do find myself, on the side of skepticism with those early spirit photographs, especially the ectoplasm where you can see like cheesecloth, you know,
Yeah,
or
I've seen those. Yeah.
things along those lines.
But then,
But
but then again, there are some that are like, wow,
yeah,
holy.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And I absolutely leave my heart and my mind open to those examples as well that I can't rationalize, I can't explain. So I have to half believe in it.
Wait for it. Yeah, yeah. Just wait for
Yeah.
it to come. But they did influence you in your work. So in a positive way, in your work as a medium. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, even all of the fakes, all the fraudulent images out there in the history of photography, they served a purpose, and a lot of that purpose was for healing purposes, which really coincides with the advent of modern day spiritualism, which is about bring messages from our departed loved ones to kind of prove the continuity of life. So, photography has a lot in common with mediumship in general as a medium. It encapsulates a moment and preserves that moment for people to enjoy for decades and centuries to come, and to look back on their loved ones and be reminded of their loved one's spirit. So I absolutely think that like that work still serves a purpose and still should be studied and admired. And I mean, it was around the time of like, the Civil War, when people had 10 types of loved ones in their pockets. And, it's just the intention of them, I think, is still honorable and beautiful.
Yeah. Well, in back in the day with the tintypes and during the Civil War, where a lot of photos, portraits were taken, people who have just passed. They would children, elderly, they would dress them in their finest and then take photos of them, and that was the memory of their loved one. I found that fascinating. Um,
And it's really interesting. There's kind of like a renaissance of postmortem photography happening now too. Yeah. And as a wedding photographer, I actually have been approached in the past to photograph postmortem photographs, or put past clients in touch with people who do that work. And yeah, it's really interesting. It's kind of like having a resurgence in popularity once again, which you know, a lot of death talk in North American society is very taboo. It's like, you don't do that. You don't talk about that at the dinner table. You don't talk about it at parties.
it's like it
Yeah.
doesn't ever happen. We're so in denial, and that almost if you die or you pass over, you've done something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like proper ways to grieve, proper ways to not, or ways to not grieve properly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
2 weeks, maybe. Yeah, right. Then you got to get over it. No, it's none of that is helpful.
yeah.
Uh, but so those photos, um, curious about how are they? Do you know anything about how are they doing the same thing that they did in back in the day, dressing them up and
Pretty much. It's kind of the open casket situation. So a lot of modern postmortem photography, it's literally taken right there in the funeral parlor.
Mhm.
And a lot of them are quite beautifully done. People are using like large format film cameras, like 4x5 cameras, which are these massive contraptions. So you can get like really high, beautiful,
Resolution.
high quality images and
Mhm.
negatives. But yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like I've only really seen that kind of happening in the past couple of years. So I'm intrigued to just like see if the trend keeps growing and becomes even more normalized.
Don't normalize it. Yeah. Really interesting. That's fascinating. I had no idea. Now,
Yeah.
but sometimes lots of people with especially the digital cameras are taking images and then there's a little extra something in the camera. Lots of times it's orbs. I've seen it where there's a reflection maybe a glass behind somebody. Can you talk about those photos? What's
Yeah,
going on?
sure. I'm kind of the debunker of my friend group, unfortunately. Always the pessimist, but I do also know the mechanics of how a lot of different cameras function. So a lot of times friends will be like, hey, what do you think of this, Julie? Is this an orb? Is this glare? I mean, a lot of times it is camera glare, and people will see glowing orbs or light. However, there are instances where you go in close to the orb and you see a face, or you go in close and you see something and you're like, I can't explain that. Especially at nighttime when you're not shooting either your camera or your phone directly into the sunlight. 9 out of 10 times when you're shooting into the general area of the sun, it's going to be lens flare, which is just the light hitting the lens of your camera or phone and refracting in a way that kind of creates that orb, or sometimes people will call them like angels. A lot of times they look like angels, the way they kind of like wing out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I think I know what a lens flare is too. And there have been times when I've captured images like, where is this coming from? I did when I set up my booth at a years ago at a whole health expo, and I was reading there for hours, and I had my little thing set up all real pretty, and I said, I wonder so I went back, I took a picture of my booth just to have a picture of it, and I opened the picture and there were rainbows of just subtle energies and lights all the way around. Then I took another picture around to see, is there something wrong with the camera? And they were clear as a bell. They weren't those energy, what I call them like energy waves. Like, how did that get there? And I said, well, I've been reading there all day, so something must be going on. But have you seen stuff like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Lilydale, as you were earlier, my friends and I always go out to Inspiration Stump late at night and take photographs. And this past summer, we caught probably the best image any of us as a group have ever seen. And we took a series of photographs, and there was a young man who was actually offering to drive us with a golf cart back down the path. And we were like, no, that's cool. We're hanging out here in the middle of the night. And he's like, that's kind of creepy, but okay. So as he was backing away, my friend Tracy took a photograph of him and we could see him. And then 2 seconds later, she took another photograph and he was like walking backwards. So he was like 2 benches further down. And right as you said, okay, that's a little creepy, there was a figure sitting on the bench in that second photograph. Like, you can absolutely see the form of a person sitting on the bench. And it was right behind where he was in that first one when he said he felt strange in that moment.
Oh,
So,
my
yes.
goodness. He
So
was
he
yeah.
he lives in Lilydale,
It's a Lilydale thing, dude.
Yeah, he just didn't know that someone was literally sitting right behind him at that moment. So yeah, there are absolutely things that I've caught and things that my friends have sent me to either debunk or, validate. And I'm just like, I'm leaning towards absolute validation on this because there's no logical or scientific explanation that I can think of. So yeah.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, totally. I have seen some amazing things. You probably have too, just of the face. Now, somebody who knows nothing about photo and just was snap, and opened up the photo and said, "My dad's in the photo," and Dad's been gone for quite a while, and it's pretty amazing. So, you were saying that's energy and photography seem to go in together. That spirit is energy now, and they can make an impression on the and in with the light, in with the impression.
Yeah. And I kind of equate the phenomenon of that to like EVP recordings. EVP recordings uses, the static white noise in the area to modulate into something. And, I believe that that can happen in images as well as sound.
Why not? Yeah, totally. Very, very nice. Very, very cool. You've been doing it, and I want to talk about this, but before we do, I just want to do a quick little reminder. Julie Gray is a medium, and you can reach out to her at on Instagram at psychic medium Julie Gray, and it's Gray. And
Julie
then
K. Sorry.
what?
There's
Julie.
Julie K. Gray. There's a lot of Julie Grays out there. I have to distinguish.
Julie K. Gray, psychic medium Julie K. Gray. Her website is psychicmediumjuliekgray.com. And on Facebook, she's psychic medium Julie K. Gray.
So easy to find me.
From the K. And you have some upcoming events. Spirit Photographs portrait event at Healing Light Spiritualist Church in Etna, Maine. Really excited. I looked that up. It's October 28th coming up. You need to pre-register is required. What are you going to be doing there? Are you actually taking photos, or are you just lecturing?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna have it all set up in a light tight room because I need a space that's entirely void of light to do the work. And people sign up, they get a 10-minute slot. And basically, I take as many photographs as I can, which will be at least 5 during that span of time. And then the sitter gets to view them because it's all done in camera. There's nothing done in post-production.
Okay.
So, they can view them right then and there and say, I like that one. And then 24 hours later, they'll get the file of it.
What kind of camera do you use? And are they looking at the images on the computer? Is that how you?
No, so it's just in the back of my digital camera, but as a wedding photographer, they're pretty high grade cameras.
Yeah, that's terrific.
I'm a Canon girl, so.
I have a couple of Canons sitting in my bag too. But yeah, it's a good camera, it really is. So that's very cool. In a minute, we're going to show some of the photos that you made. But before we get going into there, because I think we're going to get really carried away, I want to talk a little bit about the aura photography. And how that works and how that relates to what you're doing.
I mean, you probably even know better than I do how it works. I always just kind of assume it's like a mood ring of sorts.
You put your hand on a electronic device and you sit really still, and the picture comes out with all these colors around it. And for the life of me, I don't know how it works, but I find it fascinating. So
yeah, absolutely cool. And I still, every time I go to like a new touristy town, I find that place that does the aura photographs.
One time I was doing readings. I was at another fair, different fair. So my friend and I were doing readings, and the aura photographer was there, and it was kind of slow. She says, "Let's go get a reading. Let's go get aura photo. It comes with the reading." And so we went and got our pictures taken, and so she had hers done, and then later I went and got mine done. And she goes, let me see yours. And it was like we had a straight white line going right from the top of our head straight up. And I said, I think we're doing readings.
I think we're connected pretty well right then.
But no, they have a whole process that one person had where you took the picture, you had all, and a couple of them I've seen spirit faces coming through on them, and it's phenomenal. This is kind of interesting, but I have no idea how it works. I really don't know.
I know. I've looked into, getting the whole kit and caboodle, the whole setup, and it's quite an investment. So I still guess I will never know how the secret sauce is made.
What you're doing is phenomenal. So when we step into that, but a little bit to the intuitive charcoal drawings that go along with your mediumship work. That's another image, it's different kind of making images. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So it's not a traditional portrait usually. A lot of times, like you make portraits, beautiful portraits, and people like Joe Scheel make gorgeous portraits. It's more intuitive, literally just crushed up charcoal. I've taught some workshops on it in the past, and it's fun and messy. And you literally are kind of scrying into the mess that you've left on the paper, all the
Right.
charcoal, and you can see faces in it. You can see all different symbols, all different sorts of imagery, and then so yeah, you just intuit from there, and quite beautiful readings can kind of come out of that.
I've seen that. I've seen it done. I haven't seen yours, but um your reading, you offer readings for people, you offer photography, but you also offer readings for people.
Yep.
So if you're
Do.
interested in mediumship readings and
Mediumship, tarot. With the mediumship, I do, people can add on like a smoke reading as well. I love doing those.
smoke
Um,
reading. Describe a smoke reading. I know what they are, but just describe it.
yeah. So make sure that you have a a non-flameless candle. A non-smokeless candle. It's very important that your candle does produce smoke, but you go in with very plain, cheap like printer paper. You have a candle, you set intentions for clarity on something that you want some information about, maybe a question answered, or perhaps you're just open to see whatever spirit brings you. Meditate on that and kind of just pass the paper over the flame, obviously not too close for safety's sake. Have some water nearby.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I've seen some, again, really interesting images come. It's a phenomena that in our minds we want to make patterns when we see random things. But when I see the drawings, White was, I had a reading with Bonnie White up in Lilydale, and I haven't seen your work, but other people where the hand and whatever movement you're making makes these sometimes abstract images, and then as you look at them, the images come forward out of the abstract
Yeah.
design, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's funny that you mentioned Bonnie White, because she is like who I am inspired by when I do those works. So it's very much like in the vein of her work. Yeah, I received a beautiful reading done by her and a drawing done by her some years back. And I was just like, why am I not doing this? Like, I need to
yeah,
explore this. And
I agree. I started exploring it myself too. When we was at Temple Heights just before we came, we were messing around with the charcoal and said, "Oh, Julie's coming to do that." I said, "She is." I said, I couldn't stay. I wanted to stay, but these things are what I've been watching happening, and I don't know if you've seen it. Is I'll look at an image one day, put it away, the next day look at it, and then there's more things coming through, and so it's the gift that keeps on giving. These drawings. It's
yeah,
really
I think, the state of mind that we're in, perhaps we need a different answer or a different bit of inspiration that day. And yeah, it just kind of pops through.
Yeah, it does. Just like, I didn't see that before. Then you go look for it again 3 hours later. Where is it?
Yep.
But it's really fascinating.
Like when people do the tea leaf drawings, or the tea leaf readings, and they actually like draw out what they're visually seeing and kind of have to circle what they're seeing. I feel like we should be doing that with those works, because you forget, you absolutely lose it. And if you forget.
As a matter of fact, I did do that. I took a picture with the camera with my iPhone. And then I put it into the drawing app and I said, "Did you see this over here? And this is over here, over here."
Yeah.
It's just a nice interaction between your intuition and spirit and your creativity, being a spirit artist. So I have these beautiful photos you sent me, and I was going to share my screen, and you could kind of talk us through what's going on with
Sure.
them. Here they are.
Now I wish I had included a picture of Bonnie, because I actually did get to photograph her as well.
Good. Oh, how lovely is that?
This is a talented, world-renowned medium, Cindy Keza, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I met her in Lilydale and asked her if she was going to be around at night, and lo and behold, she decided to meet a stranger out in the middle of the woods.
Oh, this was in the middle of the woods. Wow.
Yeah, this is on the pathway to inspiration stump in Lilydale. So it's like nice and dark there. You're kind of canopied by the trees. It's really important that, there's no distracting lights in the background. So in this specific picture of her, you can kind of see on the right side of her face where there's another face kind of transfiguring. it's like a different jawline than hers. It looks more masculine in nature. Yeah, the green right there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I could kind of see that coming out. Definitely. Now, this is interesting. There's these lights, and I had asked you this before. She's sitting very still. Is this a fast photo? Is it a timed, like this takes couple of seconds, a minute to make, or?
It takes 5 seconds.
Oh,
I've literally, no pun intended, but got it down to a science. So it's 5 seconds. So, and it is important that the medium, or the sitter, I should say, stays absolutely still during that time, because otherwise it just looks like a blurred mess, to be honest. So
okay.
the facts that you can see, like definition in her lips, you can see her necklace says Cindy. You can tell that she was staying really still, so that other face could not be hers.
Okay. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's just phenomenal. Um, Let me go to the next one. Can you see the next one?
So this one is of Celeste Elliott, and she's a registered medium in Lilydale, and she actually has a background in photography as well. So we had a lot of fun with hers, and we did kind of like black out a room in her home to do these photographs. And this isn't one of them, but she did actually, get some gauze, and we kind of faked ectoplasm photographs as well for fun.
Oh, you're funny.
She's familiar with the history of spirit photography, being a photographer and a medium. So we had some fun with that. But this was one of the early shots that I got of her. And it's, there's nothing, no props involved or anything like that.
So this has no props here. And so we have this beautiful white light popping out. And then we have this blending of all of this blues to magenta to oranges. And it's just beautiful. And do you ask the mediums to go into a meditative state, or you just ask them to just kind of sit still? Or
yeah, I absolutely ask them to expand their energy in whatever way they want to. If they want to try to bring through some, symbols, some visual evidence, if they want to try to, transfigurate, like bring in transfiguration into the 5-second period, have at it. Yeah, however they choose to kind of express their energy.
right. Well, what I see here is this gorgeous feather kind of coming up, that however the lights picked it up. But then I see a blue face here with, it's many things are going on here. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Did you see what you say about the image? Was she pretty amazed?
Oh yeah, yeah. And even looking at the back of the camera, which is, the screen is not that large to view them, but I'll zoom in and it's always like oh my God, or oh my God, do you see that? Or whoa, what is that? There's always a lot of fun reactions involved.
I want to be there for the next one. And here's another example. I love this one. I think you showed me this one before, because I see so many. I see another face kind of super. But tell me about this one.
Yep. So this is Sam Black. She's a medium based out of Canada, and yep. So right away we saw the red skull kind of in profile, looking at her. Yep. And yeah, it's just. Yeah, just kind of the calmness and the serenity of her face juxtaposed with that. I just feel so drawn to that. It's very strong.
Very strong. I just wanted to say, if you're listening to this podcast on audio and you want to see the images, you can go to YouTube to look for Angelscapes podcast on YouTube, and all of these videos will be up there, so you'll be able to see these images. So, but this one is so bright, and then here, this color, this red just swoops right in. And it's like there's this beautiful green coming out of the mouth. Like, I've got something to tell you. I've got a secret to tell you. Here's some healing for you. Yeah. Now, let's go to the next one.
Okay. And this one is Tom Daly. He is a resident of Lilydale right now. And so, yeah, I need more gentlemen to photograph, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And a lot of spirituals and a lot of mediums tend to be women. And, a vast majority. So Tom was the first gentleman I was able to photograph, and eventually I was able to photograph Greg Keene over at Lilydale as well, one of the registered mediums. So yeah.
Very nice. Is there a difference between the masculine and the feminine energy that you think, or?
I don't think so. Not from what I've been able to kind of perceive, because a lot of the, when the subjects are women, I mean, like the skull was very kind of harsh, coming in, and there's some other imagery that's, whoa, very, yeah, I guess more, I hate to use the term like masculine in nature or aggressive. But then I took a photograph of Greg Keene, and you can see that he's wearing a blue bonnet. It looks like a woman's bonnet. And I was like, did your grandma, who I know is also a medium, I should have included this file. It's quite funny. But he's like, yeah, my grandma did wear a hat exactly like that. And she was also a Lilydale medium. So
There you go. There you go.
clearly channeling grandma.
Oh, that's perfect. When I look at him, I feel like there's angels. I think there's a teddy bear in there superimposed, like his face. It's just all of this energy that comes around his face and just wings out so beautifully. But then there are other elements coming in and out that are phenomenal that the light has picked up on.
Yeah,
So,
and there's the negative space on the left side of the green on the bottom. It kind of almost looks like fingers are coming up to the left.
yeah. Am I in the right place? The other.
So on the left side of the image, yeah, like right there. It kind of looks like fingers are kind of grasping up out of the darkness. So they look like
Right here, the negatives. Here's the thumb. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just so strange because I know the tool that I use, and I'm just like, there's no way I can replicate this. And I don't know how 5 seconds of using this tool that could have happened.
Well, yes, you do.
But I can't like replicate it basically as a science experiment, which is why I know that it's more than just science.
Yeah, it is more. I was at a rocks show. I think I'm trying to remember who was that, but they had an incredible light show behind the musicians, and I started to take snapshots of them. And then of course, I'm looking at the photos going, people are this big and the lights are just huge. And I started to blow up the lights, and there were faces in the lights. I felt like, oh, there's your grandfather so happy or something, but it was pretty cool. So we're going to go to the next one. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, there's clearly a lot going on here. You can see some numbers, letters, the central kind of core of light looks like it could be, either a double helix or vertebrae. It looks like skeleton teeth have been kind of superimposed on top of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another face coming out there. Transfiguration a little bit.
Yeah. And she actually, this is my friend Deb. She really does do a lot of physical mediumship work as well. So she's spending a lot of time developing her physical mediumship skills. So she was a wonderful person to have sit for me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's phenomenal. Now, and you talked a little bit in your description of as you're actually catching the spirit of the person who's sitting for you. We've seen spirits around them, but you're catching something very profound about themselves as well. That's what I
really, they're portraits of the person and their spirit portraits for sure. Collaboration between spirit at large, the sitter's energy, my energy, and science.
Right, yeah. Here we go. Here's the next one.
So this is my good friend Brandy, who's a wonderful medium, and she's ordained as well. I mean, that green face just coming in from the top is just,
oh my goodness, yes.
Like We were so surprised. We were like shrieking in the woods.
Oh, who's here? Who's here? Oh, that's, yeah.
And it looks exactly like he's looking in at her. Yeah, like the same angle that her face is tilted up, his is tilted down. It's very, very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful. And then there's that little another, I like looking at the white patterns. It's almost a little symbol there, a little thing in with the little white piece here. Says something, picks it up here. It's beautiful. But definitely I want to have a chat with this fellow.
Oh, I know.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Here we oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a new friend, actually, a friend of Brandy, who we just saw. This is her friend Deanna, who came to Lilydale. And so it's funny because like right away she's like, oh my God, I'm Yoda. She does a lot of cosplay work. So that's interesting that kind of her spirit showed that she does a lot of cosplay where she dresses up and literally will have big ears put on her. Yeah. And then like, of course, there's like, it looks like bull horns almost, and it's a very otherworldliness kind of extraterrestrial sense to this one.
A little bit. Also, but I feel flight too. I feel like I'm flying or something. It's very, she's holding that flight within her.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Over, yeah.
I love this one so much. So this is Leslie Keene, who lives at Lilydale. And yeah, all of hers were just bonkers, to be quite
Really, really.
yeah, there were so many favorites. I think photographing Leslie and photographing Cindy Kaza were like the biggest highlights. There were like all of the photos were like, oh my God, what is that?
Oh, she's just getting a ginormous big hug from Spirit.
Yeah, and like holding the world in her hands and holding healing in her hands. Yeah, it's just, yeah, beautiful.
It's like Gaia, Mother Earth, or a very mother.
Mhm.
This one needs to be printed out large and framed and looked at a lot.
Oh, it is. It is. I am working on an exhibition, so I'm kind of piecemeal ordering large scale prints of my favorite images, and I just received hers in the mail. So
Oh, I bet it's beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay, here's another one.
that's Cindy Kaza again. And yeah, this one was just so healing, and the little delicate, it looks like numbers at the top, or like almost like an M kind of off to the side. It almost looks like the logo for Monster Energy drink. Which I really love.
Yes, I can see that.
She is not sponsored by Monster Energy drink.
No, no. I think you should give a call, see if
But yeah, just the serenity of this one. And yeah, it's just really visually striking for me.
it is the veil.
Yeah.
Seeing through the veil communication with Spirit. It's gorgeous. I don't want these to end. This is just phenomenal.
And this is a friend, Shoshana, who is a member, I believe she's a member of the Portland Spiritualist Church, but she's a local spiritualist to me. And she was actually visiting Lilydale when I was taking these photos, though. So,
Nice.
yeah, but this one, it just feels so oceanic and like jellyfish energy to me.
Yeah. Wow. You do a reading just from these different images.
Hmm.
Has anyone tried to read these images once you've printed them out? Connect with Spirit again and just read from them.
Oh yeah, totally can. In fact, I was thinking of, when I do fully kind of take this on the road, I would like to kind of offer it at psychic fairs as a gooder service,
Yeah.
kind of like in tandem with the aura photograph because it's different enough for sure. But yeah, my friend Diane was like, oh, you just pair it with like a $10 reading of the image and there you go.
You could.
Yeah. I mean, they're just so fun right now for me and absolutely give me life. And this, oh boy. Yeah. So this one is Brenda Reading. She's also, or Brenda Reading, sorry. She's a registered medium at Lilydale. And I mean, you can see a total, another face forming on the bottom right of her face, kind of by her chin. It looks like it's tilted about like on the right side. Yeah. It looks like another face is kind of tilted 45 degrees and kind of sprouting from her face.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, I see that because
That's the mouth right there. Yep.
there.
Yeah.
But then here is a very large nose and forehead, and then here's a wispy another face coming in. See the eyes and the eyebrows. A lot of faces here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one.
Yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. The angel.
Yeah, this is my friend Tracy, who I did a lot of mediumship development with. We, sat in circle via Zoom together for quite a long time. Yeah, just kind of this one I was just really attracted to. Yeah, just the peacefulness and like it really, for me, really represents like who she is.
Nice, beautiful. It does. And I almost feel like she's got to be a very angelic woman, to be in, because that's what I'm feeling when I look at this.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop sharing, come back, and thank you so much for bringing these onto the show. I am like so excited. I'm going to just kind of take a quick peek in. Oh, so many comments. I'm looking at Facebook now. It's people love this stuff. Terry says hi, Terry, and Angel and Karen Elguire and Sharon White and Melissa. Love it. Explain some things for me, is what Melissa says. And Sharon says my orb was evidential. So she had a picture herself.
Yeah, hers were great as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do post almost daily these images on a separate Instagram page, which is purely my art Instagram page. So it's just at Julie K. Gray. No psychic medium part.
Okay.
But yeah, you can see like Sharon's. I took one of Terry Toner, if that was the same Terry you mentioned.
Yeah, I'd love to see Terry Toner.
I didn't get to photograph Terry's. That's right. I'll have to get back to that, Terry.
I'll swing by. This I had two questions here. One is in the first photo, is there an introduced light source, and where is the light from?
So the light is a light wand that I use, and it changes colors, and that's all up to chance. It's
Okay.
I literally click the shutter, use the light for 5 seconds, and we just see what happens. But I usually do it in a sequence, so it's very like dancerly kind of. I'm glad that it happens in the dark and people can't see the weird movements that I make.
Okay.
But it's just one light source.
Okay, one light source. Yeah, that's what the other question was. Are these done in complete darkness? And the color is energy emanating from the sitter. Partly that, but you also say you have a wand that has multiple colors on it.
Exactly. So it leaves it more up to chance as well, and spirit, and it depends on whatever movement I'm doing, and I don't even remember what color pops up whenever they pop up. So I'm just like, oh, okay, we're working with green now.
It's gonna be, yeah. So so the Healing Light Spiritual Center and Spiritualist Church of Etna is here. So hello to
hello.
Terrific. So that's so exciting to see how excited people are about the work. It is gorgeous work. I'm totally entranced with it.
Thank you.
You'll be down again October 28th. You'll be at Camp Etna.
No, I'll be at the Healing Light Church across from Camp Etna.
Okay, so down in Etna, Maine, at the church. So and they are here. So if you want to know, you can just kind of say hi to them and click on them and find out more about where Julie K. Gray is. It's just work is great. So what inspired you? I mean, what was that little nugget that said, if I take this light and it's dark and we just wave it all over the place, how were you got it into meditation, or you just kind of was experimenting one day and said, wow, look what this does?
It's really interesting. It's kind of a combination of things. Looking back on it now and re-listening to old mediumship readings that I've received, like from 4 or 5 years ago, looking back on it now, this was pretty much described, not specifically, but you're going to be working on a new series of photographs. And it's like, it's something like you've never like even conceived of before. But it's just the way you do it. And it's not something that hasn't been done before, but it's the way you do it makes it unique. And then I actually was on TikTok and I saw someone using the same light source. So it's not like I've invented using this light source for photographs, for portraits, but my whole thing is that I photograph spiritualists and mediums and, working with that energy. And, yes, I will photograph a muggle happily. I just feel like the magic inherent in having the sitter, a spiritualist and a medium, is just like, it kind of blows the other images out of the water. And that's just not because I think my friends in my community are super cool, but
This Camp Etna, is this the first time you've opened it up? You'll have muggles there, I'm sure. But this is the first time you've opened it up to regular folks.
It is. Yeah. So we're giving it a go. And because otherwise it was just me and Lilydale kind of testing it out and having a line of people waiting.
Wonderful.
So this might all be more organized.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Hey, I'm so excited for you. I could just see you totally getting the photo, however you present it to them, and then say, did you know this is this and this is that and this is that? And you're giving them a reading from what has popped up from in the images. I am very excited. I want to come, so I'm going to see if I can go.
Well, if not, we can do another event down the road.
Definitely, maybe bring you into Massachusetts a little bit.
Heck yeah.
Is there anything else you want to that you love the spiritualist tradition? You're in it really 100%, 250%. And what about the spiritualist tradition that really gets you, that really speaks to you?
First of all, the whole thing about spiritualism where it's like God of your own understanding, that really vibrates with me. That really resonates with me. And I just feel like it's so inclusive as a religion and its principles. And inclusivity is so important to me. And it really stresses personal responsibility and kindness to others. And who's going to argue with any of that? So
people will argue with that.
They shouldn't. They should lead more with kindness. But yeah, and literally going through the gates of Lilydale that first time back in like 2010, I was like, oh my God, I'm home. And just to have that validation that the soul continues, that we continue after a change called death, and just being able to offer that to people in their grieving process, and just for healing and inspiration, comfort. Yeah, it's just so important to be able to give that to someone. Like, it's immeasurable.
It is. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I really love hearing people talk about spiritualism and why they're part of the community, and you add such a vibrant set of colors, your own personality, your own outlook, and you found a group of people that you're very comfortable and happy and joyful with. And look what happened. Look at what flowered out. It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
And I get to meet some of the most awesome, wonderful people like you, Nancy.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the camps, the summer camps are phenomenal. I really, it slows down time when you go to a camp, and it's about spirit, but it's also about your experience with spirit. And so I really recommend. I hope you'll be at some camps again next summer.
Yeah, I hope I get invited back. I mean, it's kind of just by chance I was available that week in August, because usually as a wedding photographer, it's pretty bonkers in the summer.
But that's where we met, and I hope that we can meet up again. Do you have any last words or anything else you want to add? I mean, I'm so excited. It's like you're a young spiritualist medium flowering out with something brand new that nobody else has done, and I'm so inspired to talk to you.
Thanks. No, there's nothing I think I really want to add, but I feel like I need a whole other hour to actually interview you about your art.
That would be awesome. I would do.
Yeah, we can do a reverse.
Yeah, anytime you want, just let me know. But I just want in kind of closing up, I want to encourage everyone to look for Julie K. Gray and meet psychic medium Julie K. Gray on all the social media. Just Google her and everything will pop up, I'm sure. And I bring people on to these podcasts so that they're everyone is accessible, and they do want to work with people. So if you want to reach out to them, please do. And I know you'll hear back from Julie, and schedule a reading or any kind of whatever she has to offer. Touch base with her if you're drawn to talk to her. She may have something very special to give to you in your life. And so for now, I'm going to ask you all to remember to live a soul-powered life, to remember we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and bring that spirit out, make that spirit front and first in your life, and use these tools and these people that I am bringing to you on this podcast. There are other podcasts on YouTube, Angelscapes, and then Angelscapes podcast is also on any podcast outlet that you want to go to. It's there, and you can find me at Nancy angelscapes.net, and I'm Nancy of Angelscapes on Facebook, and then I'm on Instagram as Angelscapes. Nancy Smith's really hard to find, so if you look for Angelscapes, you'll find me. And we're really glad to have you with us tonight, Julie. Thank you so much.
Completely my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.